So there's this big discussion, or at least discussion online, because Busted Open they discussed like why people watch wrestling, and Dave LaGreca was saying that the promo from Jey Uso on Raw where he got like emotional um is the reason why we watch wrestling. Like that's what separates wrestling from other shows. And so this prompted a lot of debate online because he was saying, we don't watch wrestling for the wrestling. And so that got a lot of people talking because it's like, what are you talking about? And then me and Pat were kind of talking about it, and we don't view this the same way either. Um,
No,
I I
no, I
don't
don't.
agree a hundred
I don't
percent
either.
with Dave. Um,
No.
and the reason is uh, the biggest difference between wrestling, professional wrestling, and any other like television, sitcom or show or whatever that you watch
Or even
is the
yeah,
wrestling.
yeah.
Otherwise, you're watching a soap opera. That's what you're saying you enjoy. And if you
Hmm.
take the physicality out of it, then what makes professional wrestling different? So that's why it's like I get what he's saying to an extent by being like seeing the passion and and like the hard work finally come to fruition, and seeing somebody that you really genuinely feel like deserves this success and deserves this moment. That's why you watch wrestling. But to say that's the only reason, or to disregard the physicality, the wrestling, the athleticism as like what, like, oh yeah, that's just something else. Like to me that doesn't make a lot of sense, because that's what makes it sports entertainment as opposed to just entertainment. Because if it was just
Or
entertainment, like I said, you would go watch Days of Our Lives, or you would go and watch Family Matters or something. You know what I
General
mean?
Hospital.
Yeah, like
He's
the wrestling is, but see, like, I don't agree. I don't think that the wrestling is secondary. Not always.
it's
I think it's like
not all.
50-50. I don't even think that I would
Well,
say that is I wouldn't say that the
no,
entertainment is bigger or that the wrestling is bigger. I think that you need both to be a successful company and to put on a successful
you
show.
do. You need both. And wrestling is a variety show. That's what makes it so great. If you wanted to watch, like what you said, the not no wrestling and only storyline stuff, then yeah, you're gonna watch a television show. If you want to watch just dudes kicking ass or women kicking ass, you're gonna watch either UFC or another professional sport. Wrestling is that common middle ground where you have a little bit of both of that, along with some comedic elements, some
Mhm.
supernatural stuff. Like it is the melting pot for entertainment, and that's what makes it so special and unique. Dave LaGreca, and that Dave LaGreca is one of uh, the people that's an example of people who watch wrestling through a different lens than
Mhm.
we'll say you or I.
Mhm.
They watch it through a different lens than the internet trolls. You know what? No, because everyone watches wrestling differently, and that's what makes it so great, is that it's something that we watch so differently, and then we come into chats like this, or even when out at conventions, shows itself, and you get to talk to someone, and you're learning, like, hearing them say an opinion that you're like, oh, I never even thought of that. Like, or it's, I mean, we had this on the train going to or from WWE World, but that Roman fan that was like, oh, Roman's winning at Mania. Like, it's just, he's got to
Mhm.
beat the blood. It's like, how do you, how do you think that? Like, you may not like it, and you could be like, yeah, Cody's winning, but I'm a big Roman guy. I'm like, yeah, all right, we're on the same wavelength. But
Yeah.
to be so stubborn in, yeah, he's winning, like, I just know it, like, tribal chief, it's like, are you not watching the same show that I like? How do you have that mindset? And I don't take that as a negative, because it just strengthens how I view it, because I like viewing it differently. I like viewing it through a different lens. I like hearing people's different opinions on stuff, watching different stuff from the top of the top tier WWE to the lower end indies that I see oh my god moments on YouTube. Like, I like to see it all, because it's something that cannot be replicated in this world.
Well, and I mean, I think there's arguments to be made about, you know, the moments like Jey Uso getting emotional or whatever. Like, that's why we watch. However, when you think about the biggest moments in wrestling and like the most iconic, parts from over the years or whatever, I would say there are, I don't know if I would say equal parts, but a lot of people are going to point out matches more than moments. They're not going to say, oh, a top 10 moment in WWE history is Kurt Angle with the milk truck. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that was a big moment, but like, is that better than seeing like the Undertaker hit 20-0 or something? You know what I mean? Like, there are times where like the moment does supersede the actual wrestling. I think it just depends on like the situation and the build up and the story and whatever. But we're at a point with watching professional wrestling where there's really no excuse to not be a top tier wrestler because people care about that. It isn't like the 90s where it was all about being a superhero and being bigger than life, and like people really cared more about the character than they cared about what they were seeing in the ring, or they cared more about the results than they cared about like what match was put on. We're not really in that anymore. People do care about the wrestling. Like, if you look online, that is the biggest issue that people take with certain wrestlers and be like, oh, okay, well, they're not even that good in the ring. Why are they champion? Like if wrestling didn't matter to a lot of people, then no one would be complaining about that kind of stuff. So I think that it's just a happy marriage. Because like you said, or what we've said, like everybody watches it for a different reason. But I don't know. For me, I wouldn't put wrestling secondary. I would kind of say that it's both. Like, sometimes a show can be really good and it'll be like, yeah, it was really good. Like, the storylines were really good. But the matches weren't so great. Another night it'll be like, oh wow, the matches were so good, but it was, the overall show was kind of boring. So it like, you do, everybody cares about both. So I don't know, I would say it's more 50-50 because like you do notice when one is struggling, and the other is better, and vice versa. So it's like, to me, they both matter equally.
Wrestling makes you feel, and both the matches themselves and the storytelling make you feel, and
Well,
that's
and
what makes
matches,
wrestling so great.
wrestling can make you feel things. It's not just words and emotion. It can be like, are we really going to say when Shawn Michaels looks at Ric Flair and says, "I'm sorry," and hits him with a kick? Are we really going to say, "Oh man, the wrestling doesn't make me feel anything"? Like, yeah, it does.
Damn right
because
it
like
does.
that was in the match. That wasn't a backstage segment. That like
No,
those are the types of things that's, or and this is something, right? It depends on who you ask if this matters or not. But WrestleMania with the triple threat between Triple H, Chris Benoit, and Shawn Michaels, right? And Benoit won.
Mhm.
Are we really gonna say seeing Benoit like absolutely destroy everybody in that match and win the title and then like celebrate with Eddie Guerrero didn't matter? Like, no, that celebration in the ring mattered, but how they both got there mattered. Who they beat to get in that. Like, so that's what I'm saying. It's like there are moments where they're equal. I don't think you could pick one without the other, because if you just got the celebration, it wouldn't be as significant, I feel like, if they hadn't had to overcome everything that was in their path to get to that moment. You know what I mean? So I feel like it, I don't know. I feel like it all matters.